Hello, my name is David Faure and I work for KDAB. I am the author and maintainer of the KDSoap library. In this video, I would like to show you how to use it to make calls to an existing server. Let's start with a simple example where we will use an online service where we can give it a bank code and it will give us information about the bank, like the name and address and these kind of things. So in this example, which is actually part of KDSoap, it's the bank WSDL example. All we have to do is to create an instance of a service, and that's where it will actually connect to the server, and create a bank type, set the bank code, and we actually make the call here with the getBank blocking call, and we get the response out of it, and we can show it to the user. So this is really easy to use because KDSoap has generated for us the code that we have to use, both the service class and the types for the parameters and the actual method call. And it's really easy here because it's a blocking call, so we don't have to connect to a signal or anything. If we run this simple application, we can see that we are looking up a bank with this code, and it will reply to us, this is the Barclays Bank in Hamburg, right? So all of that generated code comes from the WSDL file, which is provided by the web service itself. WSDL files are rather long and verbose, so I won't go into everything, but basically we start from the bottom. It says, I have a service running on this address, and I provide multiple protocols, and we want one of the SOAP 1.1 or 1.2 protocols. And the actual operation that we want to call is called getBank. And if we want to look up the types being used, so the parameters are actually called getBank and getBank response for the response. And if we go up, the types are getBank type and getBank response type, which are detailed here and here. So these two things. And these are basically our structs with the input types and the output types. So as input, it wants a code, which is a simple string. And in the reply, we would get details, which actually have 4 strings here with various details about the bank, and we only printed 1 in this example. How do we set this all up? In the CMake list, all we have to do is to call the function KDSoap generate WSDL, which will run a tool called KDWSDL to CPP. It will pass the WSDL file and generate the code for us. And in that generated code, that's where we'll find the service class and all of the classes for the various types and so on. If you want to debug a little bit what happens, you can set up an environment variable. If we go here in the KDSoap debug environment variable, if we say HTTP, reformat, then we will see both the HTTP communication and the XML reformatted. Actually, let me do that for the right example here. So if we simply say reformat, we'll see the XML being used. We can see here that our request called, it sent XML with getBank in it, and the reply from the server said getBank response, and we can see here the 4 fields being filled in. So that's the XML layer, and if we also ask for HTTP and run it again, then we will also see the HTTP headers, where we can see here that we are doing a post to this address and content type and all of that. So this is a way to debug what's happening. So that was quite simple. We could make a blocking call using generated code, but let's have a look at what happens if we do that in a GUI application. As you probably know, if we make blocking calls in a GUI application, then we have the problem that the user interface isn't repainting anymore. So as a user, when we click on this button here, we would expect to see the results come in as the server sends us the replies, but it just doesn't happen. The repaint only happens at the end once everything is done. So we have the impression that nothing happens, and then only at the end we get the results. This is really not ideal. The user cannot resize the window or quit the application while this is happening. So in the next video, I will show you how to do asynchronous calls with KDSoap that can be used then in GUI applications. It's still useful to have the possibility of doing blocking calls for unit tests or for secondary threads where it's no problem because we're not blocking the GUI. Thank you for watching this tutorial. If you have any questions or comments, don't hesitate to leave them below the video.